honestly, it's so good having you here. Whenever Chris Chico actually uh picked up the phone and told me, hey, let's just send a message to Steve Trang, because like it seems like he doesn't want to respond to you or like I don't know. He and then Chris Chico was like, hey, so let's do a message, let's do a video, and let's get Steve Trang in your podcast.
Yeah.
I was just in his house, man. So
That's
he
awesome. Yeah,
hooked
no,
me up.
Chris is an amazing guy. I got to hang out with him for the first time a month and a half ago in Tampa for a different mastermind. He's such a nice guy. Sometimes you
He's
meet
very nice.
someone and like they're not who you think they are, and you're disappointed. I liked Chris more after meeting him, so I think he's a really good dude.
Yeah, you usually don't get to know people really in this space, because you're just seeing them online. Like, you're just seeing them like in a camera, like doing ads, YouTube and stuff like that. But when you get to know them, it's a
Hmm.
total different vibe. It's a total different story. The same thing happened me and Chris to me. Like
Yeah.
when we met, and we actually got to see each other in person. He took me to his house. He gave me a really nice onboarding to his house.
Hmm.
He gave me like $1,000 in play money, and it's like, hey, here it is for you. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I realized it was Monopoly money and stuff like that. But it was really cool, and yeah, he has a beautiful family, man. Like, uh, we live close together, so it's awesome that I have you here because of Chris Chico. So shout out to
Yeah.
him. And no, you really allow me to do this, man. You've really done great things with your podcast, and honestly, people eat popcorn watching your stuff. Trust me, I'm pretty sure they do, man. I'm pretty sure they just
Yeah.
sit on the couch and they just watch your stuff. Could you take it to another level with video?
Yeah. Really, the hope, right, is the inspiration because there's a lot of is as real as it possible. And one of the things that I did from the get go was really have real people on the show, and we vet them, right? So real people doing real deals on the show, but not just talk about deals because it's important to talk about deals, but also talk about their journey because almost everyone that's been in the show started with nothing. And so I'm hoping not just to educate, but also to inspire people to take action.
Awesome. So save some of that for the podcast. Whenever I'm gonna do the intro, save some of that. Like,
Oh, okay.
get inspired. All right, and let's go for it. I'm gonna go here, run it, and then after that, I'm just gonna have a conversation about that with you. All right, sounds good.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, sounds great. Let me just go here and run the intro.
Mic check.
I'm good.
Mic check. Mic check.
You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
All right, guys, what's going on? We have here Steve Trang in the Online Hustlers podcast, where, as you know, you've been listening to some of the episodes. We're going to be covering REI marketing and conversion. So, this is a series for real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and real estate and wholesalers, where they can actually listen to people that have gone through the hurdles and the whole hustle mentality from the very beginning and taken it to other levels where you perhaps are absolutely thinking about getting there, but maybe don't have a formula, a guideline, or haven't really gone through some of these hurdles while hustling all the time. So I have invited here Steve Trang, and honestly, I have to tell you guys something. This guy is a big inspiration to me because I also have a vision and a mission. One of his missions that he has created with the podcast that he currently has, Real Estate Disruptors, is to create 100 millionaires. And is that right, Steve Trank? We have you right here.
Absolutely.
100 millionaires, and
100 millionaires.
you have invited top-notch quality people that are in the industry where you actually qualify them,
Hmm.
and to get to go into the podcast and to really share the journey of these people. But I want you to tell me, how is that goal going so far, man? Creating 100 millionaires, because your real estate disruptors podcast is something that people are taking it home after work. They're watching on the couch. They're probably in the car. Things are going so well with that podcast and are making an impact that I want to hear, how is that goal going for you? Have you been able to do that?
So one of the challenges we've had, it's been going great. I mean, we people reaching out, messaging me, right? So I know for sure we're in the double digits. But as far as quantifying it, we've been doing a pretty lousy job. So that's actually one of the things that we've been focusing on for. We started, I think, Q2 of this year. So we now have people sending in HUDs to verify. Let me take a step back. We're promoting all of our listeners. So we're offering poker chips for anyone that does their first deal, fifth deal, sorry, first deal, 10th deal, 25th deal. And then if they do 100K in a month, and if they do a million in a year, and if they become a millionaire, right? So we have all these poker chips, with the exception of the a millionaire, officially a millionaire. We're going to mail them a trophy free of charge. We don't charge them any of this, right? But something to demonstrate the award. And all they need to do is, submit to get that is a bank statement or a letter from an accountant, whatever, just something that says that they're legitimately a millionaire. So that one we have not tracked as well, but for sure, beginning of 2022, because we should start promoting it and people are participating in it. Beginning of 2022, we're going to know for sure how many millionaires we've created.
Man, this is amazing. And let me tell you that people that have created this type of communities really, really have created something great. I'm gonna just take the example of ClickFunnels, where it gives you a trophy just by because they are using their platform. It's not too expensive month to month, but they're using their platform and they're reaching out goals that are incredible. The
Mhm.
same thing for you. People are using your platform to either see or participate, and they're able to see how these millionaires are actually created. So
Right.
this is absolutely incredible to create this type of community. So I wanted to really find out, like, hey, like, you're in double digits, and I want you to get to 100 millionaires.
I
That is,
want to. I want to get there, and I really don't think we're that far away. I mean, as a matter of fact, right? We started the podcast in 2018, and one of the coolest things that has occurred was that there were people that had never done a deal when the podcast started, have now qualified to be on the podcast. We've had multiple listeners become guests because of the success they achieved. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
it is honestly I believe in energy, and it's I believe the quantum the quantified effect, the compound effect that your podcast elevating, inspiring people. You're spinning some nuggets here and there, and then these people connect with each other. These people also get to really be able to take their wholesaling business and real estate business to other levels, but also maybe create some other sub products out of that, because you have given them the ability to show up, to actually be seen, to actually be heard, that there's people out there, that there's a smaller guys that are doing great things, that maybe
Mhm.
they're not too they're not that marketers that are popping up in YouTube or Instagram,
Right.
right?
These are not your Facebook ads people. These are people doing real deals, properly vetted before they come on the show.
Exactly, man. And that is huge. And for me, that's why I want to really be able to create something very, very, very similar, where I want to really inspire people and really leave a mark and help at least 2,000 real estate investors shift the way that they do business. No
Hmm.
matter what it is, even if it is this podcast, even if it is something that I create or that we already have created, in order to make their business, to create their business, to do from hustle all the way to smarter ways. And I also have that goal, so that's why I resonate that very well. I want to have at least 2,000 real estate investors to have some sort of impact of what I do, and I hope that I get to do that even by watching this. So I
Yeah.
want to I want to really jump into the nitty gritty here with you, and so you're considered one of the top top 1-2% in the industry. I want to say that that's my consideration. Maybe we have to check in the numbers, but
Yeah, I think you're a little generous, but I appreciate it.
but you have been one of the top guys that are at least in your area, home buying, doing wholesaling, also acquiring properties, and you are in a position right now to be able to teach people
Hmm.
about the art of sales, the
Yeah,
science of sales, and the science of basically conversion, being able to convert motivated sellers leads whenever they come in, which is the first part of the whole sales process, the journey of acquisitions,
hmm,
and be even be able to get bigger deals, bigger spreads than regular, the regular $5,000, $10,000 by just really taking care of the art of sales. Um,
absolutely.
so I just really want to make sure that I can talk with you about that. And you tell me right now, like how important, let's just understand first the art of sales. People
Yeah,
that really have been doing this for 1 year, 2 years, they're not closing deals. They have these VAs, they're generating things, and they're just doing a lot of money spending, and they're not really closing deals, not getting better. Let's just touch this. Can you please tell me what do you consider that the science of sales in this business is something that 100% someone needs to elevate at all times, train themselves?
oh yeah, I think sales is the most important skill that you can acquire when you're first getting started. I don't think it's the most important skill. I think leadership and running how to business is the most important skill. But until you get to there, I think sales is the single most important skill because nothing happens until a sale is made. Now, you might have heard me make that old joke, right? People say that prostitution is the oldest industry in the world, but I make the argument, like many of our peers, that renders services cannot be rendered until services have been sold, right? So I think that sales is the single most important skill, and I think marketing is one of the most important facets because we can't sell until we've marketed to get someone to raise their hands. But sales solves all problems. It doesn't matter what's going on. If you can sell yourself out of any situation. If you're having a bad month, increase a few sales, that bad month becomes a good month. You need to spend more on marketing, go close a couple more sales, you can spend more on marketing. Need to have more staff, go do a few more sales, you can hire the staff. Like sales solves everything, right? But it's an underappreciated skill. And for far too long, especially for myself and some other people, I didn't realize that sales was something that you can actually learn and it was systematic. I never thought that it was. I've known plenty of people that were really good natural salespeople, and they are naturally gifted. And you just kind of think, oh, they just have it. They just have it, right? But you couldn't quantify it. You couldn't explain it, which is a problem, right? If you're not aware. But once you learn what systems work, what the framework is, and you can learn actually how to sell, you're gonna be unstoppable. There's literally nothing you can't do if you learn how to sell effectively. So all those guys that have the charisma, the charming smile, the wink, you know,
Hmm.
you can not only keep up with it, but you can demolish that guy if you learn how to sell effectively.
100%. And I just want to tell you that this is something that you even apply in real life. You have to apply in real life, even by getting your partner in crime, that person you're gonna marry, or just the first girl whenever you were in school, like the first girl that you're gonna date. All of that is applied in sales.
Hmm.
I've read personally books such as Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and I think you're training, for example, the way that you teach sales, a lot of it actually is very, very similar to what Chris Voss
Oh,
methods are.
absolutely, absolutely. And the reason why is, there's a lot of people today, right, that will complain this person's stealing my stuff, all that. They're just doing what I do, right? And there's like, not giving credit, like, hey, they're just stealing from me. And as I've gotten deeper and deeper into studying sales and reading Chris Voss and even David Sandler, two guys I look up to a lot, you realize they were borrowing very generously from someone else before them.
Yes.
And that person was borrowing generously from someone else. So the reality is we're all doing our best to improve, and we're all constantly borrowing from everyone ahead of us. And I say this proudly that I don't come up with anything. I have not given you anything new. Everything I accomplish is standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Just all the books I've read, all the audiobooks I've listened to, all the seminars I attended, everything I preach, none of it's my idea. I'm
Absolutely.
just I'm just saying it in a way that it makes sense to me.
I'm so glad that you actually say this because when I first started just in business itself, I had one thing that a lot of people at the beginning lack, and that was confidence and passion. But the thing is that I did not have a structure on how to get someone interested in what I want to offer to them, all the way to really getting them on board. And when I started really reading and making sense out of Never Split the Difference, for example, Chris Voss, it made me really realize that there's formulas for it, and there is really things that happen during the conversation that you learn, and these are really skills that you learn what to do in those
Hmm.
situations, those specific situations. And as a matter of fact, man, you were a Slayer judge in the Closers Olympics.
Oh, you watched it?
I watched it, definitely. I was actually in a watch party with the sub 2 community. uh
Okay.
we
I'm asking because
uh,
I said some pretty ridiculous things during the commentary, so that's why I'm laughing.
Man, it was awesome because you were the person that was, being and keeping it real. Honestly, you were actually keeping it to a top level of judgment, in terms of like, no, I think that this is what happened, and really, and everything that was happening through my mind, I was like, whoa, the same thoughts that I had, and these other judges were like, oh, I'm so happy, this is so good, and things like that. No, I mean, for me, it was like, Mr. Steve Trang is keeping it real and how it is,
Hmm.
because you're able to really also train your own salespeople. So you have to have that type of judgment. You have to have that type of leadership.
Yep.
And man, uh, during Closers Olympics, man, I just love the way that you gave points. There were
Yeah. They were calling me Simon Cowell, right? But um, I call it like I see it. There's a, how do I put this? I warned everybody before we started, right? I'm coming to hurt feelings, but you'll be better afterwards.
100%. And the good thing is that whenever you actually become someone that truly point out and actually give real feedback, you also make sure that your team and whoever it is that you're teaching
Hmm.
really really understand those important moments and how to elevate, how
Right.
to really change these little tiny things that maybe people don't see that you're able to perceive. I want to really talk about your sales, your sales process, your wholesale system and mentality when you
Hmm.
come in and generating a motivated seller, generating someone that is interested in selling the property. So there's definitely different types of channels where they can come from,
Right.
and that's inbound, outbound. I want to understand the main difference. How does your process differ from different marketing channels? So let's say, even if it is just the way that it comes, called outbound versus a little bit higher intent inbound. How do
Mhm.
they actually differ from each other?
Well, I would say there's a strong line, right? There's a big line between inbound and outbound. So, whether it's inbound from marketing, TV, or PPC, whatever, right? I would just say we just live into inbound and outbound. And the difference between inbound and outbound is drastic, right? Inbound, there's authority, there's trust. And not trust as in like, I trust you 100%, but trust as in, I believe that you actually do this. Versus outbound, right? So cold texting, cold calling, man, there's a much higher hill to climb, right? To build that trust, to establish the credibility. Now, once we establish that credibility, it's not that different than an inbound call, but there's a good amount of work, and it's not small, to get to that point to establish that credibility.
100%. So let's say let's give let's put an example here for the listeners. People that are mostly starting with cold calling or cold SMS. A lot of the the gurus and the coaches and there's courses out there
Mhm.
teach to start with this. What's your mentality that you go, and what type of framework you're going to actually go through? And I know that you may have a script, and you have a script. I'm pretty sure it's actually downloadable somewhere
Mhm.
in your website. Where can people can actually find that?
So our scripts are downloadable, but I don't have the URL on me. I'll have to find it later. But
No problem.
but we don't give it out for free. So we'll have to. I'll send you the link. Right. I think our scripts are like $197 or something like that.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
But let's just walk through the framework itself then. Like,
Yeah. So I think the most important thing, right, is you got to remember everyone you talk to, the first like half a second, who are you and why are you bothering me? Right. Like, and I guess science says it's 5 seconds, but really, like, you've got a very short period of time to grab someone's attention. So the very first thing we do, and you heard me talk about this during the Closest Olympics, is the very first touch is, "Hey Esteban." That's it. It's not, "Hey, is Esteban there? Hi, is this Mr. Andrade?" It's "Hey, I'm trying to reach Esteban." All three of those tells the homeowner 100%, I don't know you, you don't know me, and I'm trying to sell you something. So right off the bat, right, the walls are up. So I always call you, if you can just picture yourself, the last time you were at the mall or you were at the supermarket, and the person walks up to you, big beaming smile, they're so happy to see you, and they know your first name, and you're like, who's this person? Crap, do I work with this person? Did I meet them in an office party? Right? You don't know who they are. In the back of your mind, you're freaking out, right? Because you're calling from an unknown number. And that's the experience we're looking for. Because once that happens, now you've got their full attention. Versus, I mean, you're watching TV, you're on the computer, you're taking care of business, whatever. Someone calls, you answer the phone, you're like, yeah, who is this? Right? Like, you're not paying attention. You're not committed to the call. So the
That's right.
very first thing is we call you like I know you. Hey, Esteban. You're like, oh, hey, who's this? And then I'll introduce myself, right? Now that I got your full attention, oh, my name is Steve. I was driving through the neighborhood. Probably caught you at a bad time. And this was something that there was a debate during Closed Olympics, right? Some people say you should never ask this question, but the fact of the matter is, if you're cold calling somebody, you are interrupting them from something.
That's right.
They're doing something. You've got to address interruption, or again, why are you bothering me? Is still kind of like in the back of their head. So we used to ask people, hey, is now a good time? And again, who asked that question? Mostly salespeople. So we don't ask that question. Then we also, as we got better, there was the books Go for No, and I can't remember the other book, but they always say, like, ask negative questions. Hey, Esteban, is now a bad time, right? Because they say, no, it's not a bad time. Now you can have a conversation, right? But as we evolved with NLP and the sales process, we turn questions into statements. And by turning questions into statements, we can gather a lot more intel, which is a very key part of our sales process. So it's now a good time or it's now a bad time. Probably caught you at a bad time.
That's
and
right.
There's a couple of things here. It's that I feel lost, right? Kind of, I'm flustered, right? Even though I'm not. I sound flustered, and I'm making an assumptive statement because now you'll correct me. Versus, probably caught you at a bad time, and now you got that yes/no intonation where it sounds like I'm asking you a question, and you can still say no. So probably caught you at a bad time. And now you're going to tell me, what's this about? Or no, I got some time. Very rarely we say I probably caught you at a bad time to like, this is a bad time. Very rarely do we get that. And if we get that, then they would have told us the same thing. It was a good time or a bad time. If we asked if it was a good time or a bad time.
And I think Chris Voss actually says that whenever they say whenever they say no, that's when the negotiation starts.
Absolutely.
That's what actually Chris Voss says, and then they start in their head, of course, thinking that you might be a friend, you might not be a friend.
Mhm.
Let's just say exactly what's going on, because like you said, you have to be able to hook them, because you're interrupting their life, their day-to-day, whatever is happening, especially with whenever you're cold calling and then you generate a lead, and then all of a sudden you again, interrupting them because you
Mhm.
didn't really maybe book an appointment, or maybe it's just a lead that is laying there in your pipeline.
Yep.
So that's great. And then how do you advance, or what are the goals here in the whole scenario, in order to truly frame and to truly follow the framework so that they can trust
So
you and move
there's
in.
not a whole lot more than that. We do a 30-second commercial. Esteban homeowners that we've worked with in the past were frustrated with the bank. They were dealing with a foreclosure, uh, tired of fighting with the city about the code violations. Overall, want to sell their property, um, but they don't like working with realtors. I don't suppose any of those apply to you. And if they say no, I said I didn't think it would. Right? And now you're not getting rejected. Like, are you thinking about selling? Are you looking for a cash offer? You're getting hammered with hard no's, and your body will feel every single one of those rejections over time. Right? And so for us, we'll just tell how, they don't need us. And then they're like, no, actually that applies to us. Because if you're calling it a foreclosure list, talk about how people you worked with in the past have dealt with foreclosure. Probably doesn't apply to you. You're calling it a code violation list. People we worked with in the past, we're tired of fighting with city. I don't suppose any of those apply to you. But beyond that, the rest of the time you're having a quality conversation. And I think that's really key. We have scripts, but really it's more of a framework. The really most important part of our script is we call like we're a friend, and we'll tell them how we probably interrupted them. And once we get through those two, their guard has not been raised, and you can actually have a real conversation. The problem is a lot of people, hi, is this Esteban? Is now a good time? Are you looking for a cash offer?
That's right.
You just ask 3 yes/no questions where you get no, 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 or whatever. And now the guard is raised and you can't have a quality conversation.
Yeah. You already have that. You already have that defense mechanism, and since your goal is to have a conversation, and you don't want to sound also salesy, you want to have I don't know how you call this, but I say that it's more of I'm a consultative approach. Like, instead of putting your always sales hat on,
Mhm.
you're trying to really find out how you can truly help a person.
Right. You're consultative. You're trying to figure out whether there's somebody you can help. And I think if you go in that with that approach, you're going to have a lot more opportunities versus the approach of, I got to find a sell. I got to find a sell. I got to find a sell. And if you do that, I mean, people can tell, right? Like, you can tell when there's a salesperson that needs a commission.
Yeah.
And we stay away from that person like it's World War Z or some other zombie movie.
Man, and a lot of people, they try to go fast to the price. They try to ask, like, so how much would you even consider selling for?
Right.
And I saw this in the competition. I was like, what is going on? Maybe they were just against the clock. Maybe I want to say that might have been one of the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But you truly were giving comments about that as well.
Yeah, we can't talk about property. We can't talk about price until we got to figure out whether the person has a problem. And I think,
100%.
and you look at like, what's your price? What's your offer? And you're making offers. You're no better than a doctor that's prescribing without diagnosing, right? Like, if you came in today, it's like, hey, Steve, I've got some back pain. It's like, Esteban, I am so glad you showed up today. My operation for this afternoon got canceled. Why don't you come back at 3:00 and then we'll go ahead and operate and fix your back? you're going to say, what the hell are you talking about? Right? But if I say, well, your back's hurting, tell me more about that. What's it doing? When's the last time it hurt? How long has it been hurting? What'd you do to hurt it? The last time it hurt, what happened exactly? What have you done to fix your back pain? Right? Is it preventing you from doing anything? Is it stopping you from working? How much is that costing you? Is it stopping you from spending time with your family? How is that affecting things? You're not able to create memories. How important is it you to be able to create those memories with your kids? How important is it for you to have your job? Is your job at risk? We're going through this whole thing about your back, and then we're going to find out, okay, maybe he does need to get his back fixed.
That's right. Because at the same time, I feel like whenever you're asking and digging into, whenever there's a pain and you're digging into this and trying to find out more about that before ever, dropping price, this is ultimately ammunition for you in your negotiation process.
Absolutely.
This is, I think this is the ammunition where you be like, okay, you're gonna grab this and then you're gonna match that with the value that you're able to provide.
Right. Yeah. So we get paid, all of us, everyone listening to this podcast right now, we all get paid directly proportional to the problems that we solve. If we're calling people with no problems, we're getting paid nothing. We're calling people that have little problems, we're getting paid little. We're calling people with big problems and we solve those big problems, we're getting paid really well. It's important to understand that if you don't know how big the problem is, you're not going to get paid very well.
That is huge. I want you guys to listen to it. If you don't know how big the problem is and how important it is, you're not gonna get paid. You're not gonna get paid. You're not gonna get paid.
Yeah.
And if you figure it out, it's a big problem, you're gonna get paid well.
Yeah. And that was the thing that I kept hammering on. You notice, right? On every time someone says, I'm selling this because I have an opportunity. And no one was talking about the opportunity. I was going nuts.
Me too, man. These are the cues that you have to be able to you mirror, right? Opportunity? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, tell me about this opportunity. I've got some extra money. I might invest with you. Tell me how good this opportunity is. Right? And now they're excited to tell you about the opportunity. And now he's like, oh, okay, so you're going to be making how much? Wow, you're going to make between 10 and 20K a month on this? That's amazing. And over how many years? Wow, you can make probably multiple six figures or maybe even $1 million with this. Wow. Okay. And now we go back to negotiate about their house. You can't close a $10,000 gap. This guy's going to make six figures a year. You can't close a $10,000 gap. Right. And so that was what was driving me crazy.
Man, I think low-key you've been training RJ too. He's been one of your students. Let me just tell you, he ended up winning, and man, the guy's a beast. We actually having him in the podcast as well. We're gonna be featuring him, of course, winner of the Closers Olympics, and here I have you being featured as the winner judge, the one that won everyone's heart by being true and real.
Yeah. So
honestly, man,
I never officially trained RJ. He's watched my presentation, but I never officially trained RJ. But he's a great friend, and I admire him and I admire everything he's done. I mean, we speak on the phone every once in a while, and I called him the day before he won. Right, I called him the day of the competition after I graded him. He got the highest score from me. He got the highest score from me when I scored. Everybody, right? And so, yeah, nothing but love and respect for that guy, even though we talk a lot of trash. You can see it in the comments how I told everyone he was gonna get a zero.
It's so
from
funny,
me.
Man. It's so funny. I know you guys are joking. I know you guys are just always joking, kind of like friends, right? Yeah. I have friends like that where you joke around, but that's all awesome. All right, so let's go back to this conversation where you're actually taking sales for real estate investors and wholesalers to another level, and I want to talk really the whole part of training your whole team, because I'm pretty sure you have a team that you have to train them either on a daily, weekly basis, and I'd love to find out more about that, man. Like how are you currently training your team to get to the level that you are, and to truly be able to keep closers and run these A players that you have in your team.
Yeah. So I train them only once or twice a week. It's not as intensive, but here's the thing, right? And I have a very unfair advantage here. is Max Jimenez is my business partner, right? So he has also been trained very well, right? So we are always diagnosing, breaking down. Hey, where did we get stuck? Okay, here's how we deal with this next time. I mean, everything we have in our training program, before we sold our training program, we were taking everything we learned, applied it to the business, figured out what worked, figured out what didn't work, right? Because he's like, oh, this is going to kill it. This is going to crush it. And then nothing happens, right? So we figure out what worked, what didn't work. And that's basically what we've applied to create our sales training program and what we train our team with. That's the content we train our team with. But the other thing we do too, I'm not as involved in this part, but Max is we actually hired a VA to listen to every single call that our team makes, every opportunity. And the VA scores every single one of these calls based off our scoring system. So
Wow.
they have to get better, right? A joke I made recently is, one secret I have to lift more weights, if you guys follow me on social media, is whenever my physical trainer says, hey, I'm going to post this on the gram, man, I am like 20% stronger immediately, right? And what happens is real life is someone is standing behind you all day, you're going to do better work than if they're not watching you behind your back all day, right? Now, we don't do that, obviously, but every single call we make is recorded and our VA is listening to all those calls. So everyone's always on their A game all day. And every time something's wrong, right? VA lets us know, and then it's a learning opportunity.
Okay. So you currently have these VAs listening to the calls, but their whole job is just to do kind of quality assurance.
Quality control.
Correct? Quality
Yes.
control. All right, perfect. Now, I believe that one of the best ways to at least scale, for example, a service, a service business is that if the whole company business has a vision, understands the vision, and can have also a sales mindset where they can actually provide themselves sales for their own, for the sales company,
Mhm.
there's going to be a higher probability to add more conversions from different sites, and having that closer mindset, for example, for appointment setters, where they can understand that they're gonna get paid if we close a deal.
Mhm.
Closers, of course, will get paid either commission only or based and commission. Can you please tell me about the system that you have created so that your team can continuously close deals? They feel motivated. They know that they need to hit the target. How's your current system in your company right now?
Well, I think that's a very broad topic, but one thing I want to hit on for sure is, when you close your first deal, second deal, third deal, I mean, the first deal, you take a picture, you post it on Instagram. I mean, that's kind of what happens, right?
Yeah.
You love it. It's life-changing and so on. It might not be big. It doesn't have to be big. And second check is really cool. Third check's really cool. But something happens over time where you become callous and you get used to it, and you don't celebrate those big checks anymore, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with this, right? But that excitement you have to celebrate that first check kind of dissipates, but we all celebrate signed contracts because we know we have a signed contract that's probably going to lead to revenue, right? So I see most business owners celebrate signed contracts, but no one really celebrates appointments. But we know that appointments lead to contracts, lead to closings. And so I want to take it a step further. We don't celebrate appointments. We don't celebrate quality conversations. And we certainly don't celebrate dials, right? But our team, we celebrate the number of rejections, and we measure rejections by dial attempts. So in our organization, whoever gets the most rejections, again, we quantify it with dials, but whoever gets the most no's in a week, what do we know about their success? They're going to get the most yeses in a week. So in our office, whoever gets the most no's in a week gets a free lunch from us. We don't have a limit to where they can get their lunch from, but we'll pay for lunch for them every week. Whoever gets the most no's in a week.
It's the whole concept of 100 no's to one yes.
Yeah.
Right? And
we say it, but we don't reward it. But we
Yeah.
reward it.
Okay. All right. That's so awesome, man. So you have you have created systems where your sales team is always trying to close the next deal and finding
Mhm.
out the next deal. I'm assuming that you currently have multiple channels right now running to generate leads.
Yes.
Okay, what channels are you running right now?
So we do direct mail, TV, PPC, SEO. That's exciting. Not working as well. Cold calling.
Mhm.
Let's see what else is there, and then social media. Right, and
Oh,
social media, as in, hey everyone, send us your deals. Right.
oh, okay. So you mean social media like JV, Facebook
Yes.
groups, and things like that?
Right.
All right, that's good. Oh man, so you have really good amount of different channels, and you have a good amount of inbound. I'm glad you're saying TV because a lot of people think that TV is just outdated, but I'm pretty sure it works. I mean, you have it.
Well, TV is definitely outdated. It's I've noticed it is very market dependent. However, you got to remember where your target audience resides, and your target audience resides on TV, maybe Google, right? Maybe Facebook, but you got to think about, a you look at your avatar. Most homeowners you work with are older,
Hmm.
60 plus, right? Definitely 55 plus, but probably 60 plus. What do they do? They're watching TV.
You're watching TV.
Are they reading newspaper? Possibly. Are they on Facebook? Possibly. But really, for sure, they're watching TV, and for sure, they're reading their mail. So,
That is 100% true. Yeah, we have to understand who really our avatar, who really our audience is, and those
mhm.
channels that you choose must be must be the where they lay, and it's easy for them to access. It's easy for them to reach out to you or whatever it is. Right now, where's your main traffic coming from? Is it coming from cold calling and PPC? Where is it coming from?
It's always neck and neck, surprisingly, between cold calling, direct mail, and TV. It's those three,
Wow,
and it's consistently neck and neck.
wow. But so
Yeah.
you're saying TV, even though it's kind of outdated and it's
Mhm.
working.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, it's
Wow.
working.
What are
Now
the
we do our TV only in Oklahoma,
Yeah, okay.
and we do our direct mail in Phoenix. We are going to in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, going to send out our first batch of mail in Oklahoma City. But yeah, um,
I saw you
and
were
we
getting
only
your
do cold
license.
call in Phoenix. Go ahead.
I saw you were getting your license, man.
Yeah, I
Congrats.
got to be compliant. Got to be compliant.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna get my realtor license. I'm hoping to have it done by next week.
absolutely. I think that we definitely need to look forward into getting licensed for the future if you want to keep this business for the long run. I don't know
Hmm.
what's going to happen with the everything in the US, but people, states are going to crank down on wholesaling more and more. you
As it
know
becomes more mainstream, absolutely.
that's right. And even uh the whole the whole cold calling and SMS where carriers are also doing that. There's also measures that need to be taken for the future. And I'd like to find out what you guys are currently doing that
Well,
in
we stopped
doing.
texting last year. We stopped texting November of last year,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
Yeah, and we just got tired of playing the cat and mouse game. Now I know we certainly left money on the table, right? Because we know plenty of people that are still using SMS as their primary lead source. But at the end of the day, the cost per lead was not as cheap as it was before, and the liability is still high, right? So for me, the time spent playing the cat and mouse game, the liability for texting versus the reward, there were just different. There were just other avenues that were more conducive, or just as effective, that did not have the risk.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's why now you're doing the rec mail. That's why you're doing TV ads.
Hmm.
That's why you're doing PPC. I like to go over like kind of like sales process from inbound. I know we spoke about call outbound, but let's talk about inbound because uh, marketing channels such as TV, such as Google PPC, you will have a lot of visibility and you're gonna reach your people, but you're probably not gonna be the only one that will be seen by these individuals because
Correct.
Google has the big four right there, the big four ads, plus like whenever they're Googling, there's
Hmm.
lots of options. And I'm not 100% sure about TV, but I'm pretty sure that um,
A lot less competition with
a
TV.
lot less
So
competition.
when we're on TV, we don't experience this so much in Oklahoma, but I do know our peers in other bigger markets. When you're on TV, you're competing against the iBuyers. When you're on Google, you're competing against all your fellow wholesalers, right? For the most part, it's better than cold calling, but not that much better with PPC, right? With direct mail, pretty good. So I would say if you were to rate like authority or trust by the time you walk into the living room, TV's the highest, then direct mail, then Google, and then cold calling.
Love it. All right. Since this is the online hustlers podcast and a lot of people go online and just go on Google and watch us, they also do PPC here online, things like that, Facebook ads. So I want to understand the sales process and the
Mhm.
things that come up when doing PPC. You're calling someone that filled out a form or a survey.
Mhm.
Okay. And a lot of these people, they have visited other individuals.
Of
Uh,
course.
they have gone through different areas because they see options, right?
Mhm.
And they're probably motivated.
Mhm.
So I want to understand first. Let's go through that sales process. Walk us through what your team does or how do you handle it for let's say PPC, and then I'm gonna ask you about some objections that I have in mind that can come up and has come up with a lot of our members. Um,
Sure.
love to know that, Matt. So walk us
Yeah.
through that.
Well, I mean, I think when you're calling, it's a warmer lead, right? But um, I guess same thing for PPC. Really, any lead as follow up. Still calling like we're best friends, and we're still going to tell them how we called them a bad time, and then we're going to say we noticed that you registered, blah blah blah. What's got you considered selling your property? And we're going to jump right into it. But what's got you considered selling? Not tell us about your property, right? Why are you selling versus tell us about your property?
Yes, I love how you go deep into that.
Yeah.
Big thing in Closers Olympics that anyone that watched it like really learned from Steve Trang is that
Mhm.
he's big, and I believe that this is the way that I've also been taught. Find the
Mhm.
motive first, and you'll have enough ammunition. So now you start getting people from PPC that have searched other people, and they
Mhm.
say I need to sell fast, but before I filled out the form, I also found two other people online and that also called me later,
Mhm.
and try to give me offers, and one gave me an offer. And
Great.
and then they say how, I mean, what do you do different, like how can you do better, or how do you handle this situation?
Yeah. So they say we got another offer. Okay, that's great. So you're able to get this resolved.
And then you cannot
They're
challenge.
like, and they say no, it's not resolved. Oh, okay. I apologize. You told me another offer. I just assumed you already signed it. Right? And they're like, no, no, it has to sign it. Oh, okay. Because, and we're gonna find out what they don't like about the other offer, or they might just tell you you're trying to get the highest offer. So we'll say, okay, well, that's the one that makes sense. I would do the same thing. I would also try to get the highest offer as well. So but I'll share with you, in all the houses we bought, we've never been the highest offer. We never are, right? So knowing that, should we end the call? And they're always gonna say, no, no, no. Don't you want to give it a shot? Like, no, they want the shot, right? And we're gonna say, no, we're not the highest offer. So knowing that we're not gonna be the highest offer, well, I guess before we jump into that, as someone had a chance to survey all the homeowners that we've bought their homes in the past, we asked them, why did they decide to go with us even though we weren't the highest offer? What do you suppose they said? And they'll tell us whatever is most important to them, the homeowner. And to which we'll respond, that's exactly what they said. Right? Because who knows what their pain is? Who knows what's important to them? Homeowner does. So that's exactly what they said. Right? So knowing that can be highest offer, should we end the call? They say no. Okay, well, I mean, you already have this other offer in hand. What's stopping you from signing it? And they'll tell us what's wrong with the other offer. It's like, oh, got it. Or we'll tell them how great that offer is. And then you heard Max do this. Well, with the other offer, when you ask them for how much non-refundable earnest money deposit, what did they put in there? And they said, I didn't ask them that question. Oh, okay, that's fine. But when you looked at their proof of funds and saw how much money they had in their bank account, how much did they show you? I didn't ask them that either. Oh, okay. And now they're like, crap. That other guy's not real. I said, okay. So then I guess, should we continue talking? And they're like, yeah, please, right? But now we talked about a moment ago, consultative versus adversarial.
No, 100%. And we've had I've had actually members on my team situations where the seller says, look, I spoke with this guy, give me it seems like a good offer, but there was something off, I didn't really like him. That's why I wanted to talk with someone else to see what's going on.
Didn't like him.
I didn't like the person.
Oh, what did he do?
I think he was just going straight,
Right. But that's what, we mirror, right? Didn't like him. I'm shocked, right? What did you like about it? Right. The other thing too is you heard me say, like, what stopped you from signing with this other person versus why didn't you sign with this other person? And there's a nuance here again, just kind of like I was saying earlier. It's that if I ask you why you didn't sign with them, you might get defensive, like maybe I should have signed with them. If I say what stopped you from signing with them, it's like, well, let me tell you. So similar question, but asking what versus why is going to give you different results. And we're just like you watch on these lawyer shows on TV, right? Like the lawyer has questions written in a way to get you to testify in a way that will help his client's case. So again, we don't ask, why didn't you sign with the other guy? Because they're like, well, maybe I should have, or it's none of your business. But what stopped you from signing with the other guy? And now it's not a defensive question. It's an open-ended question. And now they'll tell you why.
Yeah, man. You have to be able to learn to ask these questions that will help us peel the onion out. Now, I think a lot of people actually get really stuck in being creative, asking questions. Like they know they need to ask questions properly and the right questions. How do you go about someone that is trying to really learn how to ask the right questions, or what type of questions, and how to frame the question? Because that question can sound different the way that you say it. So how do you go about that?
I mean, there's lots of books and lots of trainings out there. I mean, really, right? You gotta. So I had someone I look up to. I was actually looking at his program, his coaching program, many, many years ago, and at the time I opted not to sign up for it. And what was really cool is he actually signed up for our program earlier this year.
No way.
And he sent two people to our sales training, and he asked them, he sent me the screen captures. He asked them, like, hey, how much are you guys enjoying Steve's sales training? And they're like, wow, it's game changing. We're closing more deals. And he's like, man, thank you for that. And I said, thank you, for the compliment. I appreciate that. And this is what happens when you take 14 years of abuse and you condense it into one training. Right? Because you got to remember, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, right? I've been buying houses for over 10 years now. Wow. And so everything we teach here, right, is from what we've learned and applied. So the long answer to your question, I'm not trying to get salesy, but, we have an all-day sales training where we go from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. to go over all of this, right? Unpack all of it. And in that, we'll also do role-playing, so that you can hear how it sounds, right? And you can see, like, if you learn another language, initially, the words. You can't recall it, but if you hear it, you know it. And that's kind of what happens with the sales. Initially, you can't say what needs to be said, but if you hear it, it's like, okay, that's the right way to do it. And so the only way to get better at it is to immerse yourself in it, submerge yourself in it. And that's why we do the all-day sales training.
Okay. So whenever you're saying immersing yourself in it, you're making them call people or handle people right there in the training, or
No, not that. What I mean by immersing yourself is that you're going to be in my office, right? I actually have a classroom built into my building here, where you're going to be here, and you're not going to be like when we do things over Zoom. You got your email notifications, your text notifications, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. When you're in a classroom in my office, you're there. You are 100% physically present and hopefully 100% mentally present. Maybe it's 85. Whatever it is, it's better than the 10 to 15% if you're on Zoom.
Yeah, no, 100%. The in-person classes now are available because of COVID. And if you actually want to find out more about this, I will drop a link in the description of this. I will make sure that you are getting the top quality and actual, I'd call it diamond type of players, because they really have done things for the industry to really improve it, to make it better, to really have a good name for the industry. And people like Steve Trang, who has been a sales expert for a very long time and owning a company for already 10 years in wholesaling and real estate investing. By the way, I forgot to ask you, how long you been doing sales now, man?
Well, I started in 2007, so
Okay.
but I started on the realtor side.
What was your biggest first close apart from your one and only wife?
I mean, the biggest close we've actually had this year, and we had just a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago, we had our first six-figure wholesale deal, right? But it wasn't one, it was two. So we closed one for 137,000, another one for 160. And these are in Phoenix, which is one of the most competitive markets in the country.
Imagine that, man. Imagine that making six figures more than what a flip usually would do, or like what a flip would do on a wholesale deal. That is incredible. Do you think that it was the way that you acquired the property, or the way that you disposition, or a little bit of both?
I think it was truly listening to the other person, right? Because you hear people say like, make offers, make offers, make offers. That's a KPI. That's not a KPI in our organization, but a lot of organizations have, make offers made. For us, like, we're trying to figure out what you want, what you need, and then we'll figure out whether we want to buy it or not. And so this other one, like I said, we made 160. We bought it for 50. We sold for 215. So on that one, we asked her, like, what do you want? Like, for you, in your situation, what do you want for you? She's like, if I can get 50,000, I'm good. Both my kids are in prison. I want out of Arizona. Give me 50,000. I'm out of here. That's it. So we bought our house for 50,000. So, but I didn't go in there. It's like, well, your house is worth 215,000. Well, it was like worth 260, right? Like, your house is worth 260,000. We got to do the windows. We got to do the roof, carpet, paint, right? I got to make money. Realtors got to make commission. I got to get this 2021 standards. So my offer is going to be 130, right? And then we start negotiating, right? Like, that's kind of how the normal process is. For me, for us, Esteban, your kids are in prison. You're over this. You just want to move on with your life. You want to write the next chapter in your story. How much are you going to need for you for it to make sense for you to move on? 50,000. Okay. Well, I don't know if I can pay 50,000. But if I could get, if we can make that happen for you, what would happen next? It's like, man, if you can give me 50,000, I'm ready to go right now. That's it. That's what we did. That was the conversation.
Huge. You utilize that ammunition, like we discussed, whenever you were matching with the, with the value, or really asking them the question of how can we make this work, or what will work for you? Like, when would you want to move forward? This was ultimately the biggest difference of what I saw in the Closers Olympics, from how you judge versus how other judged.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to say that other judges were not great. I'm pretty sure they do great, but I'm pretty sure you are a trainer, and you have been able to train people like your whole life, and in your teammates and everything, so that you can understand this. This is huge, man. Slayer judge Steve Trang. Oh man, I'm sorry. But man, the thing another thing I really wanted to ask you is, what are your plans with the other podcast, Disruptors? Um, you what do you want to achieve there? I know 100 millionaires with the other one, but like
Mhm.
you also want to create another 100 millionaires, or
Um, for that one, I'm not entirely sure, and this is a problem. This is a slight problem, right? Because there's not as much clarity on that end. So we wanted to grow our reach and grow our brand, but it may have been premature. So we'll see what we do with that one.
oh man, it's good. I mean, I think you have definitely done things that people look up to. A lot of people really wanna put themselves in a position where they grow a business, and then
Hmm.
ultimately they grow a brand around the same industry. Maybe they have, excitement for creating also influence, or
Hmm.
creating a way to educate, or creating a way to influence people.
Yeah.
And what you've done with the whole podcast, Real Estate Disruptors, is kind of like the principle of, like, you were hustling yourself. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of that, hustling in the podcast, you
Hmm.
didn't think it was gonna grow that way, or did
No,
you?
no. I mean, that was the hope, right? The hope was, but it's like, yeah, really the mindset was, I'm going to record 10 episodes, see how it does, right? Like, if it sucks, the good news is if you start a podcast and it sucks, the one great relief is that nobody knows because it sucked. If it bombs, no one would know, right? So my mindset was, I'll just do 10 episodes. If it does, great, great. If it doesn't, that was just one more thing that we tried. And so with this other new podcast we did with Disruptors, it hasn't really gained any legs, but that's kind of the entrepreneurial journey. It's like, here's some things, here's some ideas, and we're going to put this out there. If it takes off, great. We'll pour more resources on it. If it doesn't take off, then we abandon it and we just go on to something else. So a lot of people want to have like this perfect vision and where things are going to go. I have a direction. I know where I want to go. I say this, I've said this publicly. I want to catch Grant Cardone to be known as the number one sales trainer in the country. And I want to catch Joe Rogan on Spotify to be the biggest podcast in the country. Now, these are all crazy ambitious goals, but those are things I put out there. But along the way, we're going to take action. We're going to move fast. And sometimes we screw up. Sometimes we got to take a step back and reevaluate. And I think that's kind of what happened with Disruptors. The
Awesome.
second Disruptors.
Yeah, the second Disruptors. So you said 10 episodes. Before 10 episodes, Real Estate Disruptors started kind of like exploding.
It exploded on episode 1.
Episode
and
1.
then further on episode 2. So yeah, I mean, we had Carlos Reyes and Sal Shakira at episode 2. That really helped. So,
That really helped whenever you actually get people that are out there influencing others, have a lot of followers.
absolutely. And here's the thing that I had an ace up my sleeve that not everyone else has, right? And it's not me. Is I live in Phoenix, the wholesaling capital, guru capital in the country. So I could require everyone to come live to my studio initially because everyone's in town.
Man, they're right next door.
Yeah.
I wish I was in Arizona. I would have invited you. Try to create a nice setup. Give you a
Yeah.
coffee, $1,000 in play money,
Sure.
like Chris Chico.
Yeah.
When are you coming down to Miami?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I have to go down there. Oliver Seidler is a good friend down there, and I'm supposed to catch up with him. You should have him on your show, by the way. But yeah, I don't know when I'm coming to Miami. I got now, you again, Oliver, Bobby Suarez, another killer you should probably talk to. So I got a lot of friends down there, so I should definitely go down there.
Yeah. Hey, you're forgetting about Chris.
And Chris,
Florida.
I already
Yeah.
I already got my yearly dose of Chris Chico.
That's great. No, honestly, I've never been to Arizona. It will be a great way for me to really just absorb that guru air.
Mhm.
That just go to a state where everyone in real estate investing. I think even the iBuyer is there, like one iBuyer,
Oh
like
yeah,
one
all
big
the iBuyers start here. All the
There you go.
iBuyers are here. So
That's great.
yeah, I mean, if you want to come down, like I said, we got our workshop. You're welcome to come down and audit the course, right? You're a sales trainer, so you're welcome to come down and audit the course and provide feedback and let me know what we can do better.
So one of the things that we do in our program, man, is that we generate, we do lead generation. We help them get the first thing in the door, come in, and then we saw another bottleneck, which was conversion. So
Hmm.
this whole conversation that we just had was conversion. People were not converting the leads, and so we did some experiments. We brought in some experts in sales. We got them to call some of leads for us, and they started converting. They started getting contracts, and this, we started. And so I was like, hey, how can I even just solve this bottleneck now that I have created for myself? So I
Hmm.
started getting some sell trainings on a weekly basis. But I believe, man, that when people go inside the program like you do, like you currently have, they ultimately will take it to another step. I want to see another step, because the way that you currently are having it is not only focused for the niche, but you're walking through them through the entire thing, like you said, immersing them into the whole process. And I'm
Yep.
pretty sure these people will get out changed already, like with the things. And I'm pretty sure also has continuous training. Is that right, or how is that working?
We do offer continuous training. It's not something that we lead with. Is only after someone's gone through our all day event where they say, wow, I want to work on this craft every single week. We offer that as well. Yeah.
I believe it's huge. Getting to go to those weekly trainings, really understanding different scenarios that happen at day-to-day basis with
Hmm.
motivated sellers, how you have dealt with this. Now that, for example, everyone the market is high, like everyone is watching Zillow, everyone is reading the news. How you handle that. You don't know if you're not constantly like being practicing and training, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's
You got to work in your craft. If How can you expect a seller to take you seriously if you don't take yourself seriously? You got to work in your craft.
You have to work. I'd love to get you in a second episode in the future where we drill down more of like more nitty gritty stuff on sales, and tell people exactly how to generate a lead and now convert it, but like
Mhm.
nitty gritty kind of stuff. Maybe we can go over some objections. Maybe we can do some role play. That would be really cool. Love to have you in a second episode in the
For
future.
sure. For
Um,
sure.
that would be super great, man. But for further ado, this was an incredible episode. I don't want to keep you too long. And thank you so much, everyone that is watching, that's been listening to this show. We're going to end the broadcast. And for those that are inside the group for REI Marketing Conversion, you got a big nugget right now. And we're going to post this in Spotify, Audible. We're going to post it in Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and just share this with everyone that you know in the industry. Make sure that you like it, review, subscribe if it is in the YouTube channel. Make sure that's everything I'm asking for you. I want to add as much diamond type of nuggets here from great people like Mr. Steve Trang right here. So thank you so much for that,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you, it's Steve. You're great, man. Mr. Slayer Judge. Sorry.